Problem 8-18 on page M-243 is a simple calculation to determine the cost of capital for a company. The format on your screen follows along with the concepts from page M-212. In the book, the company has interest-bearing debt of $1.4 million and equity of $1 million. The book also indicates that debt financing costs 8% and that the cost of equity financing is 18%. Now, we're not going to get into how to calculate the cost of equity financing. That is a complex subject and is beyond the scope of this class. However, we can use these provided numbers to complete the requirements of this problem. Requirement A asks what proportion of the company's total financing comes from debt. Now, to do a proportion between two numbers, or 3, or 4, or as many as needed, you divide the number that you need the proportion for into the sum of all the numbers. In this case, there are just two numbers, so we'll divide the $1.4 million of interest-bearing debt into the sum of the $1.4 million and the $1 million of equity financing. The formula on the screen will do that by putting $1.4 million into the first cell to the right of A, $1.4 million into the cell to the right of div by, and $1 million into the cell to the right of plus. The formula does the work and calculates the proportion of debt financing as 58.33%. Requirement B asks what proportion of the company's total financing comes from equity. Since the number being divided by is the same as in requirement A, those numbers were carried down using formulas. The only action that's needed to complete this requirement is to put $1 million into the cell to the right of B. The calculation then results in the proportion of equity financing being 41.67%. One interesting side note is that the two proportions add up to 100%. When calculating proportions like this, the results must always add to 100%. Requirement C asks us to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. Using formulas, this has mostly been done for us. The 58.33% for debt financing has been put into the middle of the formula, and the 41.67% for equity financing has been put into the cell just below. All that's needed to be done to finish this requirement is to enter the percentages for financing that the book provides. The book indicates 8% for debt financing, so 8% goes into the cell just below the cost of borrowing to the left of the 58.33%. The calculation indicates that the weighted cost for debt financing is 4.67%. That is being calculated by multiplying the 8% times the 58.33%. Under the 8%, the 18% for equity financing is entered. Once again, the formula indicates a weighted cost of 7.5% for equity financing. Those two numbers added up give a total weighted cost of financing for the company of 12.17%. And those are the answers to problem 8-18.